Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dungeons &
Been a
Dragons
while.
the Second Age. It has been a while. How are you all doing?
Fantastic.
Very good.
Excellent.
Doing.
So, before we get underway with our session, who would like to give me a recap of the last time?
Well, we finished up some downtime.
You did,
We
yes.
finished up our downtime. I've got some fancy armor. V made a very nice potion.
Yep.
We now have an uncursed freedom,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
so no more saves.
Freedom. Freedom.
Then V got a letter. A very, 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 very formal letter.
Yes.
Saying we have to go back to Silverbrook. We've got
Woo!
to meet with a druid who has friends who can help us on our quest.
Yes.
We've been doing research into dimensional doorways and shit.
Yes. Yes, the connections and the art of mapping the locations of things in between the planes. Yes.
And so off we went, and we stopped off at Hatcher's Cross.
Yes, you did.
Alright. And everyone was happy, and V told a story.
Yes.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of. I attempted.
We had a very good
Yeah.
attempt.
Yes, you made an attempt at telling a story to the inhabitants, but they seem to think highly of you regardless of your adventures. And then yes, the last thing that happened was that you arrived in front of the gates of Silverbrook.
Silverbrook.
And we
Indeed.
still have the Elorad ceremony hut.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It shall never die.
Unless I burn down the entire forest.
You know what?
No.
Fuck it. Please don't.
True love never dies.
Nope, it doesn't.
They will find a way.
Cool. So, yeah. After your short period of traveling, you arrive back at the gates to Silverbrook, and I believe the last time as we left. Well, I don't know if you did. We did do that before you left.
I don't think we
but
did anything. I think we literally arrived at
You
Silverbrook
arrived. Okay, in that case, everybody give me some perception checks.
Oh, that's shit.
Oh!
Oh!
Nice.
Got a pretty good start.
Yes, off to a good start.
Standard perception checks, though.
Everyone fails apart from me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Immediately most of you were just sort of happy to finally be back at Silverbrook, but V, your attention is immediately caught by the fact that since the last time you were here, again, progress has sort of there's been a lot of progress towards the rebuilding of town, including a building whose walls you recognise from outside of the town as the Silver Stag Inn, where you first stayed when you first arrived. Seems to have been restored to its former glory. There is also still a similar number of guards to when you left last time, and basically as you are approaching, one of the patrols of Wild Hunt wander up to you and sort of the moment they see who you are, they're sort of like, oh, greetings. Nobody in the group is anybody that you recognise, but they seem to recognise and know who you are and just sort of invite you inside. So yes, as you enter the city walls, you see basically that there's been a lot of progress in the rebuilding effort, and it's actually beginning to look like it's back to the way it was when you were first here. Like there's still a couple of buildings that are still under repair, but it's been a number of months since since the town was destroyed. So you are starting to see a notable difference towards bringing the town back to its former glory.
Yay! Nice.
So yes, where would you like to go first?
Well, I don't think the Druid Council guy said to meet up here, but I guess we could always go back to the town hall.
Yeah, he didn't actually tell you where.
The hall would be the safest bet.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, you can head straight for the hall. As you guys walk through town, there's a couple of things that you notice. I think almost all of you will notice this. Yeah. Basically, as you walk through town, like a number of faces that you've sort of come to recognize as like townspeople are sort of wandering around, and many of these people sort of stop and greet you, just sort of with a polite wave or a good day. But you also start to notice a couple of faces that you have not seen before, and a handful amongst them are human.
Humans in
From
Silverbrook.
From your assessment, many of them seem to sort of be carrying backpacks or sort of haggling at storefronts, and you can assume this is a part of a caravan of merchants, maybe. There's quite a lot of them, but it's probably safe to assume that now that the town is rebuilt, it's starting to be part of its duties as a trade outpost once again. So yeah, you notice a couple of humans walking through the streets. You also come across like a group of children who are sort of playing in the street as you approach the town hall. And they seem to sort of just be like happily running about in the street, which is something that hadn't really been a thing for a long time since you were here. So it seems like people are starting to become more comfortable in their, feeling safer in their homes at least. And yeah, and with that you sort of arrive at Silverbrook Hall. The guards outside again seem to just sort of recognize you and allow you to pass inside.
Yay!
And as you enter the main hall, nobody is there.
Oh. Well, so much for that.
Awkward.
This is just in the main hall, like not in any of the sort of side stuff, but. How do you want to proceed?
Should we have a look around, or for people?
Guess so. I mean,
Ask the guards, let us in.
yeah. Do we want to find your friend V? I can't remember her name. Neve. For some reason, I wanted to call her Naomi, and I don't know why. B.
Current internet might have died.
That's true.
Damn it.
Oh, that's
All
awkward.
good.
I mean, I feel like that's a safe bet that V would probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can try and see if Neve's about.
Or like anybody we know.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
like Kelariis and Simone.
yeah, you know that you know from the letter that Neve sent that Neve has sort of been in the custody of Simone while she's been here. So yeah, like and you remember where Illirin and Simone were sort of lodged the last time you were here. So you set off down one of the side halls to look for them. Wow. Okay.
I wonder what that dice roll was.
Yeah, you open the door into their room, or into what was Simone's room, and are once again disappointed to find basically nobody.
Fuck.
In fact, devoid of a few servants and like a handful of guards, Silverbrook Hall seems to be very, very empty.
Should we ask one of the guards?
Yeah, let's ask somebody.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you approach the guards and sort of say, "Where is everybody?" And yeah, basically the guards tell you that as Vondal, you know that Lady Silverbrook has left to visit the last outpost in the Feywild, so she is no longer here. As for Lord Silverbrook is currently training in helping train the Wild Hunt recruits in the barracks. They presume that Illirin is with him. As for Simone and Neve, both of them left early this morning out of town, and they don't actually know where they've gone, but they should be back at some point. They do say, however, that Archdruid Buck and his apprentice are basically in what was Lady Yenna's sort of evening room, and they are set up doing their research in there. So if you want to go and see Archdruid Buck first, then that's where they are. But the others are sort of off doing other things.
Well. I mean, I guess let's go meet with the druid.
Okay.
Because that's why we came back anyway, right?
Yes.
So
Yes,
what
that's
was
your
happening?
primary
Oh, I
quest.
know.
Welcome back, yes.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
She might also be dead still.
We'll see in a moment. Yeah, excuse me. So, yes, you head to Lady Yenna's evening room, and yeah, as you basically enter the room, you see an older looking elf who basically he's got a sort of a very sort of calm and composed look to his face. He looks like he's had a long life in which he's seen a lot of things, and he is certainly tempered for it. He's very much that wise old man sort of look about him. And yeah, he is basically standing, poring over a table of notes and what looks like a large map. And standing next to him is presumably his assistant, who you recognise as Leyland Goldenleaf, or Lily.
Lily!
Yeah, so as you approach, sort of, they both look up from their work, and Archdruid Buck says, "Ah, welcome. You must be the adventurers that Lord Silverbrook told me about."
Yes.
He says, "Please, come in. We have much to discuss. Lillian, help me clear the table." Lily sort of looks up, and they sort of bob up and down and sort of do that little I'm waving with one hand, but I don't want to wave like too high sort of thing.
They're so cute.
And very quickly begin to clear the table. And Archdruid Buck sits down, and he says, "Yes, please forgive me for the abruptness and formality of my summons, but I did not really know how best it was to contact you. I did not know if the letter would even reach you. We have a great deal of things to discuss. I'll wait for you guys to catch Helena up on what's happening.
Yeah, where are we exactly now?
You went to Silverbrook Hall, found that basically nobody was about, so you asked a guard where everybody was.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, basically the guards told you that pretty much everybody else is out doing stuff. But that Archdruid Prudent Buck and his subordinate were in Lady Yenna's evening room, which you have now arrived in to find out that Prudent Buck's associate is Leyland Goldenleaf, or Lily.
Okay.
And yeah, he is basically beginning to catch you up on the information that he wants you to convey. He says, "Yes, forgive me for the abruptness and formality of my communication. I had no idea if the letter would even reach you in time, or what your reaction would be." And he basically says, I am the Archdruid that has been sort of assigned to this the task of sort of investigating the effects of the blight on Silverbrook, and as he says this, he indicates V, and he says, "And of course you and your spirit sisters Grove." I believe we've had some breakthroughs on the matter, which I'm happy to discuss with you. But I have made extensive notes on, and I feel it is sensible for me to record my findings and send them back to the Order in case anything that I found assists in their research. I also have a second request to ask of you, should you agree to go. But that is something that we can discuss afterwards. He pulls from the notes and things that were cleared off the table. He pulls sort of a handful of pages of notes, and sort of says, "I don't know how much." I don't know how much any of you know of sort of the history of the local area, but I have found some things that perhaps would be of interest to you if you are interested in understanding more about the blight and what I believe to be like partly its origin.
That would certainly be useful information.
I sort of he flips open the notes and begins to sort of indicate some points in his notes, and he basically says, I believe that almost every location or every location identified of this blighted outbreak, almost every single one seems to have a correlation to either some form of historical battle site or some other similar outburst of madness and violence. I've scoured page upon page of our history and our mythology, and every single one of them seems to have some relation. And from what you have told Lord and Lady Silverbrook, and which has been passed on to me, I believe this may correlate to some degree to this peculiar figure that you have mentioned in the past. This character in the Shadowfell. I believe whoever this individual may be, I believe they are using sites that have perhaps ancient heritage or some horrific past to strengthen the connection between the blight and the Shadowfell, which is causing a corruption inside of the forest itself. He pauses for a second, and again he turns to View and he says this. He says, "I'm afraid the only exception to that is your grove. I have yet to discover exactly what the cause of the blight in your grove exactly is, but I have a theory that it may have been tainted intentionally by by a follower of this mysterious individual."
Why my grove? We've seen other dryad groves and they seem to have been fine.
I'm unsure. It may merely be that your grove was closest. It may have been. It may be something to do with the nature of your grove. I'm afraid I have very little information to go on, even with your spirit sister's help, and it's partly this picks up part of the second request I have to ask of you, if you should agree to help me take my notes back to the circle. Truth be told, I am unsure how someone without an intimate knowledge of your dryad circle, or even some sort of natural connection, would even be able to access the sacred grove and taint it. And that is a worrying thought. It implies that perhaps one of this individual's followers has talent or subtlety when it comes to working their way into the trust of other individuals. Dryads are known to be suspicious and protective of their sacred places, but to allow somebody to wander in that brazenly, they must have been somebody close or somebody that the Dryads trusted with that information.
So, do you mean that someone I know would have let someone in?
Possibly, yes. Perhaps even unintentionally.
I wish I could ask my mother. She knows a lot of things.
I believe there may be another way to find this out. He pulls from his pile of notes. He pulls like a sealed letter and says, "I have gathered my findings on the examination of the condition that afflicts your spirit sister. My notes are all in here. If you were to find Archdruid and give them this, I believe they may be able to shed more of an insight on my theory."
Where is Neve right now?
I believe she left with. I don't know what you would call her. I believe she left with Captain Anariel this morning.
Left where?
I'm afraid I don't know that.
Anyone
They
getting a
should
little
they should
worried
be
is what about-
they should be back by this evening. I do not think they will have gone far. You probably remember something that Neve told you about being given a task, and you suspect that that may have something to do with it.
Right.
From amongst the other pile of things, the Archdruid also pulls a red vial from his alchemical apparatus and says, "This will also need to be escorted alongside the notes and my thesis. It is a blood sample from your spirit sister, and it may be of use to Nerian as well. However, I would like to keep a hold of it, as it is a fragile thing, and it was somewhat difficult to obtain."
How?
Your sister is not fond of the methods that we had to use to obtain it. Let us say that.
Oh.
Not a fan of needles. Yeah, he nestles that safely back with his stuff. He says, "Yes, if you are willing to undertake this mission, I believe as well that Archdruid Nerian may be able to lend some more aid to your quest than simply just deciphering these notes. They are, well, perhaps one of our foremost scholars on the nature of the undead and how to combat them."
Alright.
Archdruid sort of like sits there for a moment and says, "Oh, of course. Forgive me. I suppose you've only just arrived and haven't had a chance to rest or anything. I believe Lord Silverbrook has prepared somewhere for you to stay. I'm afraid I don't know where it is, but I could go and find out if you are looking to sort of rest up. Bearing in mind you guys have been travelling for like half a day, so." How do you respond?
I think what I'll probably say, we can probably find Lord Silverbrook ourselves.
Yeah, we got told where he was earlier.
Yes, yeah. They told you he was in the barracks.
Right. And Ilran is supposedly with him.
Ilran is supposedly with him, yes. Which doesn't surprise you.
No.
50% of the OTP.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotta find it.
Priorities, man.
He nods and says, "Very well. Layla and I will continue with our research, and if there's anything else to add to the things to be sent, I'll be sure to add it before you leave." Yeah, and unless anybody else has anything they want to sort of discuss, you guys can leave.
Nope.
Cool.
Just thank him and leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you begin to sort of close the door to the room where they are, Lily stops you from closing the door and sort of slides out through the door and says, "Hi." I was
Hello,
hoping to see
Lily.
you guys again.
The
Gotta
feeling
love-
was mutual.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of nods and smiles, like half sheepishly, and sort of says, yes, the letter that Lady Silverbrook wrote turned out to be quite useful. It seems that Archdruid Buck saw some potential in me and decided to, well, take me under his wing, I guess. I'm getting quite good.
That's really cool. I'm glad it sort of worked out.
Me too. You all certainly seem to have, well, gotten stronger.
Can you tell?
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot
I mean,
certainly happened.
Vondal has his fancy mithril
Yeah,
armor now.
you're all like geared up now, and Kelariis is physically stronger than she was.
So she's more ripped. is
More
what
ripped.
she is.
More ripped.
Super ripped now, guys.
As if it was
Yeah.
the impossible has become a reality.
She
Was that
flexes
question?
her.
The chainmail is now a lot tighter.
Just be very careful to flex too much, she'll rip the chainmail.
Yeah.
Right?
Deals 1d6 slashing damage to everything around her. Just as the rings just ping off.
Very fly up in all directions.
No,
Yeah.
that's.
Guys.
I don't think that's a thing. No.
Should be.
Lay sort of says, well, I've got to continue to help the Archdruid, but if there's anything I can do to help you guys out, just, you know where I am.
Glad to have seen you again.
Yeah, it was really good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, and with that, you're left to your own devices. And you head to the barracks. Where, indeed, yes, as you sort of enter the courtyard, you can sort of hear from somewhere inside a loud voice that seems to be sort of like barking commands that you expect is Lord Silverbrook. It seems to sound like him.
Good old Lord Silverbrook.
Good old dude.
He
Well,
is
dude.
literally old.
He is quite old, yes.
I'm wondering if we should interrupt
Is
him.
he older than Prudent Buck?
No. Not from your assessment, at least.
I'm wondering if we should interrupt him or whether that's a bad idea.
I mean, there's no harm in walking in and seeing what's up.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yes. Another thing to note, actually, probably, V, that you know, is you also know that druids have a tendency to live longer than anybody else.
Oh yeah. It's true.
Druids live a long time.
I guess we'll
Yes.
Long time.
Well, he looks like an old man, so by... he looks like an old man, so by elven standards he must be quite old, which by everybody else's standards is really, really
It's
old.
fucking old.
He's really fucking old.
He's probably like 600.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Maybe older.
Well, how long was he gone from Silverbrook? Like 100 years or something?
No, that's Silverbrook.
No, that's Lord
not,
Silverbrook, not Archdruid
not
Buck.
Prudent Buck.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Also, he was gone like 100 years.
even like hang on, I can bring up my document whilst we do this scene, and I'll remind you. But yeah, you walk into the hall where indeed the troops are being drilled. Well, a selection of the troops are being drilled by Lord Silverbrook, who, once again, despite his age, is sort of like as he's got these guys sort of in their formation doing their drills, he's like marching up and down like next to them, like adjusting people, and like he is very much getting involved. He's not sitting on the sidelines doing stuff. Though, speaking of sitting on the sidelines, there is a figure that you recognise who is sort of leaning up against the wall in the way that he does, watching everything that is going on, and when he sees you approach, he waves and sort of beckons you over. It is, of course, Iloran.
Hello, my son.
He looks at you strangely as you say this.
Don't say that in character. But I do greet him with a friendly bro nod.
Nice.
Yep, bro
Look
nod.
at your cards, boys.
Mark him up.
Come on.
Hello again, friend.
He smiles and says, "It's good to see you all. I'm glad you all made it back." He does sort of like cock his head and says, "-1?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Grim saw fit to undergo research on his own while we were in Rocksgate.
He sort of looks awkwardly and sort of says, "Right, I see. Okay. Well, each to their own, I guess. I trust everything else is well with you."
Perfectly.
He like sort of casts a glance over his shoulder to sort of like see what everybody else is up to and says, we'd best talk outside. I'm sure Lord Silverbrook doesn't want to be interrupted."
I know I wouldn't want to be.
He smiles at that and says, "Yes, quite," and sort of takes you all outside.
Vondal enjoyed his brief moment of nostalgia.
Yes. You.
Plus
Yeah.
1 nostalgia.
Your past as a marshal is not forgotten. Yes. To put into perspective, Yenna and Ishtar got married basically like over 215 years ago.
Good God.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a while.
None of us were born then.
Nope.
Yeah.
Even me.
Or me.
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah, Ilaran sort of ushers you outside and says, "Have you been up to the hall yet?"
Yes, we did.
He says, you no doubt seen our guests then."
Indeed, they are. Yeah, nice to see Lily again. That's for certain.
Ilaran nods and smiles and says, "Yes, that one is an odd one, to put it politely, but it is nice to see them again." Sort of he seems to like pause for a second after like sort of having that thought, and says, "So presumably you've just arrived. Are you sort of looking for somewhere to take a rest, or?"
That is why we came down. The Archdruid appeared to have mentioned something of the sorts.
Yeah, Ilaran nods and says, "Yes, you're to be housed in the guest quarters where I was staying previously. And he sort of indicates behind him and says, I'm back in the barracks now. Sort of, it feels good to get back, but I do miss the softer bed."
But that's all you miss.
Wow.
I'm glad that Luke and I had the same thought, but Luke actually
Fucking
voiced it.
hell. Anyway.
Look, someone had to make the joke, okay?
Thank you.
Of course it was going to be you.
Of course.
Yes. Anyway. Yeah, he says, "I can show you if you like. I've got a short time before I need to go back to my duties."
That would be lovely.
Provided we're not distracting you.
I said, "No, it's quite alright. I have an appointment with Lord Silverbrook, but as you can see, he's still in the middle of things.
Fair enough.
While we sort of walk wherever we're going, can
Back-
we just sort of be like,
Back to the hall, yes.
Oh, back to the hall, yeah. Can you just sort of be like, do you know what Simone and Neve are doing?
Eleron sort of says, yes, I believe Neve is Simone is helping Neve work on her pet project, which turns out to be quite helpful. She's been sort of helping to grow plants and herbs and things.
Nice.
If you wanted to go and see them, they're literally not too far from the walls, and he sort of indicates where you would head if you wanted to go there. But yes, after wandering the short distance back to the hall, Iran leads you to the room and basically says, I'm sure once he is finished with his duties, Lord Silverbrook would like to have a talk to you. I myself I've got a couple of things to handle up, but I'll probably be joining. I'll probably be coming back to the hall for a meal tonight, so I will probably see you then.
I like how that was only a probably, as if like, oh, I might not eat. Fine.
Well, he doesn't know whether he'll be sort of eating in the barracks, but he presumes he's going to be invited to the inevitable meal that is going to be had between Lord Silverbrook and you and everybody else.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it'd be kind of rude not to invite like our best friend.
Right?
Well, it's more a case of he assumes that he's going to be the +1 of the officer who is definitely going to be there.
All right.
But yeah, I guess Vondal will nod, or might call it a bro nod, and just say,
Sorry, it's already ticked.
It'd be nice to, I know, I'm ticking it again.
Double take.
You can't.
You can't have too
Don't
many
have-
bro nods.
Not
You
how
should
bingo
never have
works.
too many bro nods.
It's not how bingo works.
I know. But yeah, he's just gonna say, and we can have a proper catch up potentially.
Aaron nods and smiles and says, yeah, I think I'd quite enjoy that. But yes, he leaves you to your rest. And I believe actually some of you can use this time to correct your hit points, because I believe some of you still have wrong hit points.
Do we?
I'm good.
Well, some of you were down hit points and then never restored them from after the fight.
Oh.
Oh.
But if you've done it, then you've done it.
I've done it.
Yeah. So, yeah, you can spend as much time resting as you want, or you can head out and do other stuff.
I think we would like to see Neve.
Yeah.
Should we go? Should we look for them then?
Well, you don't have to drag everyone else with you if everyone else wants to have a rest.
Me, but you can go rest.
Alright.
Yeah, cool. You can go by yourself then.
Oh,
Nerds.
I'll go. I don't have anything to
You wanna third wheel this?
do. Why am I third wheeling? Simone's gonna be there too.
True.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, unless V asks specifically, probably just hang out.
Yeah, we can just hang out.
This is gonna
and-
be a fun one.
Should we go to the tavern for a drink?
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Okay,
you could-
sure.
Yeah, okay. You guys go to the tavern.
Fuck it.
You see that, yeah, it's pretty much back to its former glory. Like that, the interior decoration has changed a lot, and it's still missing like a large number of like tables and things that you feel like there's like a lot of empty space that clearly hasn't been like refurnished yet, because there's clearly a more important demand for for timber and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's functional.
Oh. Yeah. See if we can buy some drinks then.
Yeah, you guys can grab some drinks as Iron V head up the short distance out of the walls towards a small plot of land that has been cleared of stones and things, and has been turned into a makeshift planting area, in which are standing 2 figures, which is Simone and Neve. They seem to sort of look up as you approach, and Simone gives you guys a wave, but Neve sort of takes off and starts running towards you.
Oh.
Ah, hugs time.
Yeah. There is like a small shockwave as the hugs collide.
Basically glomp each other.
Yeah.
I just walk up to Simone and say a short hello.
Hey.
It's very much not.
Oh my god.
So it's like 2 parents in the park with their kids.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Simone smiles and greets Arya, but Neve starts just sort of babbling in Sylvan to you about everything that's been going on.
Yep. I reply in
Yeah.
Sylvan.
They go but in French.
In French.
I mean, I can understand it.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
true.
Simone has no
Simone
idea what's
is
going on.
Left out.
So yeah, what were you going to say?
Me.
Yes.
I guess I'm just sort of saying like hi and like how's it going, and you know how's the farming been going, and like oh, you know, people like non-dryad people are so crazy, they work like all year long, even when the trees sleep they still work.
Yes. Yeah, like as you sort of say how's it going, she's like going around and showing you like all of her favorite plants. And pointing out like this one.
How good are her choices of favorite plants?
Well, they're all like the same plant.
Oh,
they're all
right.
like heel root and stuff like that. Well, not heel root because heel root's like rare, but they're all like various medicinal plants. But she's got names for all of them,
Oh.
Lovely.
which is pretty standard for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like she's showing you the favorite ones, and this one tries really hard, and yeah,
And this one's the oldest.
yes. I mean, they all seem to be part of a massive extended family, even though they're clearly like not from the same like plant genus or whatever. So she's literally just she's imposing on them a little bit.
No, it's like me and Neve. We're also not
Yes.
technically part of the same genus.
No.
You know, we are still family.
Yes.
Yeah, Rob. Jeez.
Jeez.
I'm trying to insinuate that she is missing her family and she is imposing these feelings onto these
Oh,
plants.
don't make it sad. Fuck you.
No, it's sad.
And
You
yeah,
ruined
Elowen has grown a little bit.
Yeah.
I might need to get a bigger bowl for her at some point.
There's a strange glass thing in there now.
Oh yeah! She has a tiny glass friend.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yes, you also have one of those around
I
your
do,
neck.
it's a necklace.
You all have one of those.
Yes.
I just kind of forgot that it was a thing. No offense.
Wow. No, it's fine.
I don't know if Cav remembered that he had that because,
Cav wasn't here when that happened.
but he did get caught up on it, didn't you?
Okay.
It's in your journal, if not, I think.
So yeah, excited Sylvan babbling.
Yes. Oh no, it's in your artifacts tab, not in your journal tab. Sorry.
Oh.
Um.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you you babble at each other in Sylvan for a little bit, and Eve sort of like tells you like, yeah, she's been like working really hard and stuff. And yeah, she goes over the stuff like, you got my letter and blah blah blah, and
Yep.
like tells you like she basically reiterates everything that she said in the letter because she wanted to tell you in person. Yeah, this goes on for like an extended period of time.
Yeah, I talked to her about the needle thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's just like prickly thorns. There's nothing
Yeah.
bad about it.
Yeah, she much like anybody who is afraid of needles, she continues to just be like, nope, 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 do not want.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of he sort of asked like, how's the wound on your arm as well?
Oh, yeah, she sort of like happily rolls up the sleeve and sort of shows you that like whilst it's still as bad as it was, like it doesn't look like it's got any worse, and sort of like rather than looking sort of like rather than sort of like looking bruised and sort of painful, the areas where the skin joins the sort of the blighting, it's sort of like it's beginning to heal and sort of like return to its usual color. And you expect, were it not for its magical nature, it would be almost like sort of like recovering. But of course it isn't, because it's
Magic.
Yeah. He also talks about the time that she actually did like a job.
Oh yes, I had a job.
This stuff is like mind blowing.
Yes.
Shit, man.
Yes, throughout the entire conversation, Neve is just sort of, she's just got that like "Hwah!" face that you get from like anime characters when they're told something that they really can't believe.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Can't believe she's in anime now.
All dryads are anime characters.
Well, I was gonna say, you're all anime characters.
We're all anime on this blessed day.
Yes, you are. Yeah. In the meantime, Simone has a small conversation with you, Arya, just sort of like, "What's up? How's it going?"
Stop. I'm just like, looks like the repairs in Silverbrook are going well.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm sort of happy to see people out and about in the streets again. Starting to feel more like home.
Yeah, I saw that there was a caravan that had come through.
She nods and says, "Yeah, first one we've had in, well, since you guys were first here."
Since we fucked up your town.
Wow.
Admittedly, not really your fault.
Yeah, we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But still
Yeah,
kind of
yes, the monster was trying to kill one of you, but
It's fine.
Neither here nor there.
It's fine.
Wait, which one?
Me.
Oh. Is it still specifically coming for you?
I don't think it's specifically coming for me. I think it's
you don't
now it's
really.
coming for everybody.
Yeah, like you don't know that it's like specifically like targeting you, but it's sort of, it's your nemesis.
Yeah. You guys need to find your own nemesis. This is mine.
Picturing that one song from Ferrous now.
Yeah. Yes. Sort of. Simone sort of tells you the sort of what she's been up to, and she sort of says, "Most of my time's been taking care of this little one."
She's not that tiny.
She doesn't behave like that.
Excuse?
Mhm.
I believe you're gossiping.
Yeah, God.
Also, it's amusing for Simone to call her little one, because actually she's not actually that much shorter than Simone.
Oh god.
Because Neve is rather tall and Simone is not that tall.
Oh.
Small.
Yes. She's a foot shorter than Iloran, roughly.
So cute.
Shut up,
Oh.
Luka.
No,
all
what?
my different AUs now apply. They're the best AUs.
They applied from
Yes,
the
they are.
beginning.
Good.
We wrote fan fiction about them.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, she says I've spent most of my time looking after this one.
Glad to see that she seems to be fitting in here.
Somebody sort of nods and says, she reminds me of V when I first met her.
Yes, well, they are sisters.
So says, well, yeah, V certainly seems to have grown, though. Seems a lot more confident.
Yes, well, to say we have faced a lot of bizarre situations is an understatement.
Somebody sort of nods and says, yeah, well, I've been through some things, but they probably pale in comparison to your stories.
I've seen some shit, man. Seen some shit.
Yeah. You sort of continue the amicable conversation for a little while. Until the two girls stop squealing at each other.
Wait, there's an end point?
Not really. Just sort of like it kind of dies down a little bit, but they're still talking.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just slightly less excitable.
Yeah, there's a lot less sort of like, ah!
Ah!
Like, you know when two teenage girls that haven't seen
Yeah,
each
I
other for
know.
about 10 minutes see each other?
Wow.
Look, Rob, I hate to break it to you, but we were teenage girls at some point.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know.
been there, done that.
I must have missed that stage.
Yeah, thankfully you did.
Amazing.
Considering I was just a terrible anime at that point in my life.
Yeah, so,
Has Neve does Neve still sort of just speak sort of Elvish and Sylvan? I guess she does.
she probably has picked up more than a few words of common by this point. So you have been gone a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's probably got a couple of words.
No swear words.
No.
What's even the point?
Mostly like good morning, please, thank you.
Staples. of
Where
life.
is the bathroom? How do I get to the post office? Because you learn that in every language, even though you don't ever need it.
Yeah. No one goes to the post office anymore.
She needed to go to the post office.
She did need
to
it, yeah.
letter.
The post office is very important in this period of time.
I was gonna say that's how you
Just
get.
a
That's
little tiny bit.
Especially 'cause, like there isn't really sort of like a post office. It's sort of you pay a courier to send something.
Yeah,
There's-
you need to find a courier.
Hmm.
And then he needs to not die.
Yes.
yeah, that's yeah.
But yes, you sort of reach sort of a lull in both of your conversations, and you can sort of decide to do something else, or if you have finished your conversations, you can return to town.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Cool. So, you head back to town. It's probably getting into sort of like the late afternoon, early evening. You meet up with your friends in the pub.
I've had a couple drinks by now.
Yeah, probably deduct like a handful of silver for your drinks. And then yeah, you guys head back to the head back to Silverbrook Hall with the intent of eating something.
Food.
Yes.
Some people already show up drunk.
Hey now.
Well-
I'm
Free party drinks.
drunk.
They've had like a beer or two in like a couple of hours.
Totally wasted.
Totally,
Wow.
totally out of it. Vondal has to be carried upstairs again. God damn it.
God
He just
damn
wants to get a ride in Kelariis' beautiful arms.
Wow.
it.
Everyone.
Look,
Don't lie.
I will give rides to my friends. Like, that's okay.
Oh, doesn't
Gotta
everyone?
Oh dear.
Alright, yes, let's eat.
Yes. So yeah, you basically all gather for a meal. Pretty much everyone is there. Lily, Archdruid Buck, Eleron Simone, yourselves, and Lord Silverbrook, as well as
Oh,
a.
Neve.
Oh yeah, Neve as well. Yes, sorry.
Next to Neve, I have dibs.
Of course
Okay.
you do.
I mean, I would hate to be the one who tried to get between the
Yeah.
two of you.
You can have your own
Yeah.
table with crayons.
Oh my god.
Order them the kids' meals.
Oh dear.
They get chicken nuggets.
No.
Classic. Classic
Um,
kid meal.
Medieval chicken nuggets.
Medieval chicken
Yeah.
nuggets. By which we mean just like bits of chicken someone has just ripped apart.
But anyway, you sit down to the table, and then basically, like as you all sit down, sort of Lord Silverbrook arrives with a man that you don't recognize. But he seems to be some sort of official who seems to work for Lord Silverbrook. Yeah, and he basically sits at like Lord Silverbrook's like right hand. And yeah, like he basically like as he enters, he says, "Ah, friends, guests, excellent. Good to see that you have arrived. I was hoping that you would be able to answer answer the Archdruid's summons swiftly." God, that is a sentence that I regret writing.
Well, we
I was just
arrived.
like, huh?
Well, yeah, we went on our way as soon as we received the letter.
Mm.
He nods and says, "Oh, thank you for it. The Archdruid has been a huge help in both the rebuilding efforts and he's been tireless in researching the blight." And he sort of the Archdruid says, "Oh, please, my lord, it is merely my duty." He says, "Yeah, please eat. We have much to discuss, but first it is time for food."
Food.
Yeah, so you guys eat. And yeah, sort of halfway through the meal, Lord Silverbrook sort of turns and says, "The Archdruid tells me that he's already spoken with you about the request he has made of you, and I trust that you are sort of considering taking the note to the circle."
Mm-hmm. That seems to be our next course of action.
He sort of nods and says, "Yes, I believe so. The Druid Circle are equally, if not more, knowledgeable than our scholars, and if what the Archdruid suspects is true, then being able to map these outbreak locations to various points would go a huge way in identifying the origin and spread of this disease once and for all. From there, we can attempt to contain and combat any further effects, and perhaps even begin to push back the effects that have already occurred."
Mm.
Having the circle's assistance would almost certainly be of great help.
It is certainly impressive, the amount. quest that the Archdruid has uncovered.
The Archdruid sort of interrupts and says, I cannot claim ownership of all the research. Much of the foundation of my work is based on the research of those who came before me and those who worked in conjunction with the academics from the Arcane Academy. As I mentioned previously, Archdruid has contributed much of the research into cures and combatives for the effects of the blight, and my assistant, of course, has been endlessly helpful collecting samples and providing suggestions and theories. At which point Lily sort of goes a little bit red.
Oh.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything they want to sort of ask or talk about?
No.
When should we start setting out for the Druid Circle?
Archdruid Buck sort of says, obviously the sooner the better, but I'd recommend preparing before you leave. As I mentioned in my letter, circumstances in the forest are not ideal as of late. Particularly recently, we've heard, well, perhaps to call them rumours is a bit too dismissive. We have had reports of a black mist that seems to drift across the forest, seemingly originating from locations where the blight has been spotted. And according to the reports, whilst the mist itself is not particularly dangerous, it does seem to herald the approach of blighted creatures. There have been several confrontations and, as I understand, a small but still troubling number of deaths. And like sort of at this thing, sort of at this revelation, sort of Lord Silverbrook sort of almost seems to he seems to tighten his grip on the sort of the cup that he's holding, and he says, it is frustrating that that even now the forest is assailed by foes that we cannot do not fully understand. Anyone got any other comments?
Not really.
In that case, sort of dinner just sort of proceeds on for a little while. You tell everyone at the table, presumably, of your adventures, and they sort of tell you similar stories about the things that have happened.
Where does Neve stay right now? Where does she sleep and stuff?
As you ask Neve about that, she basically says that she is currently basically in a room in the hall with Simone, who is still there as sort of like a guest.
So does she like get paid for her work on the project? Or is she just sort of doing it? I don't know.
I think it's sort of a thing that she's just sort of doing because like she's there sort of like eating the food and just generally being like part of the group, but it's sort of like I want to give something back. Okay, then go and help grow stuff because that's what you can do.
because, you know, money is weird. Okay?
Not directly paid, no, but
Yeah.
Money can be exchanged for goods and services.
yes.
We learned all about the economy.
Given food and shelter in exchange for the assistance that she provides. Although you suspect that even if she didn't, they would still look after her. But
I mean, we literally asked them to look after her, so
yes,
Also that.
it'd be kind of shitty of them to just be like, yeah, actually, no.
Eh.
well, you get the feeling that Neve is given a task so that she can feel useful as part of the effort. It is as much for her benefit as it is for theirs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Well, yeah. If nobody else has anything that they want to talk about, dinner basically sort of winds down. The man who you don't sort of know who he is, he doesn't really get introduced. He sort of sits there and occasionally converses with Lord Silverbrook. You get the feeling that he's sort of there as he's there because he is some important member of Lord Silverbrook's council. But like he's sort of there out of politeness. He's not sort of like he doesn't know any of you, so he's not sort of like actively engaging you in conversation or anything like that. But yeah, he basically stands up and sort of says, "Well, my lord, I must be going. It's getting late." And he says, "Yes, of course. Thank you for your help today. I have a couple more things for you to look over in the morning, but that can wait." And he sort of nods and says, "Well, it's been a pleasure dining with you all. I must take my leave." And he departs, and that's sort of the cue for everyone else to sort of be like, "Oh yeah, I suppose it is getting kind of late. I guess we'll go."
Bye, y'all.
Yeah. Elrond sort of like stands up and says, "I'd best be going as well." And Simone's sort of like, "Oh, I'll walk with you."
Wow. Fuck's sake.
Look. Being so smooth, but I know. I know.
We know you know.
It's okay, everybody knows.
Everyone.
They're not subtle.
Well, no, they are subtle, it's just that...
Not subtle enough.
Well, they're doing nothing to hide it. I mean...
Yeah, if she was really being subtle, she'd have
Well-
waited a little bit first.
No.
Lord Silverbrook, you remember from previously, Lord Silverbrook told them off for doing it publicly. So it's just sort of
Oh, right.
you've got to. It's sort of a just don't do it in front of everyone, sort of.
They can
Yeah.
do it wherever they
Control
want, as long as
yourselves.
they're the only ones there.
Waggles eyebrow.
Wow.
Raises eyebrow.
Can we just like try to actually move on?
Yes, moving swiftly onwards.
Thank you.
You guys, presumably, unless there's anything else you want to do before you go to sleep, take a rest.
Yeah, I'll rest.
Cool.
Sleep time.
Oh my god. Oh.
Cool. Yeah. After taking a long rest, you guys awaken refreshed the next day. And yeah, basically, from this point onwards, if as soon as you feel you're ready to set out, the Archdruid is happy to give you all of the stuff that you need to take, and then you can leave. But if you feel like you need to buy anything or stock up on anything, now is the time to do so. I will take you very quickly back to this map.
My roll 20's not happy.
Yes, this map.
Yes.
Hex crawl.
Yeah, basically, the next morning, Simone catches you on the, well, as you're sort of getting up, and basically tells you that in order to get to the Druid Circle, the fastest way is to take basically the road to Simandel, which is a village that is a short distance from the Druid Circle.
Time to look for that on the map.
Right.
It is on the right-hand side of the
Oh,
map by the river,
Ah, yes.
and you'll see the Druid Circle in a clearing of trees.
Oh,
Back,
yeah.
we could like ignore the path and just go like straight.
You
God,
could,
can you
yes.
imagine?
It would be slightly like you would run the risk of running into more encounters, and it would also be not quite as fast because you're on horseback now, so it would be faster if you take the road.
Oh right, true.
Because yeah, basically, I think you could move like, was it 5 tiles last time or 6 tiles?
Yeah, it was 5.
5. So yeah, now you would be able to move 6 a day because you're on horse.
Oh,
Oh,
shit,
shit.
guys.
Oh, and it also will not fatigue you if you push yourselves. It will only fatigue your horses.
Yeah, but it's mean to the horses.
Yes.
Yeah, God.
But the important thing about that is it doesn't put you at a combat disadvantage if you decide you want to push yourself 1 tile further.
That's true.
Okay.
Oh no, we won't get to see Indy again. That's very far out of the path. Anyway.
I'm sure Arya is devastated.
Arya just is happy that she doesn't have to be put in that situation again. Pretty girl
Maybe
flirts
Indy-
with Arya
Maybe
and
Indy
she's
found
panicked.
another beautiful, like angsty traveler to hook up with.
Right? God damn it.
She's not gonna be
Look.
out there all the time waiting for you, you know.
No one brodes like Arya.
Wow.
So,
Yes.
can't replace it.
On the subject of planning, is there anything you feel like you need before you depart?
Hmm.
Bear in mind that now you can see the map, you can plan how long it's going to take you.
I need a goodbye kiss from Neve.
Aw.
Oh.
Also, ripped my internet, which is like temporarily died and just came back.
Oh, okay. I was
We've
saying
not said much importance.
no. I was saying
Oh.
if you now have the map in case you need to plan how long it's going to take you to do stuff or get places.
Mm.
So yes, once you decide that you're ready to go, you can depart. But if you feel like you need anything beforehand, speak now and you can get your hands on it. Or try and get your hands on it.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Shit.
Is it?
It's gonna take about like 6 or
6.
7 days to get there if we follow the path. I just counted it.
Hey,
I was gonna
Rob.
say, how far do we move a day now that we have horses?
6.
6.
How many did we move last time? Was it only
5.
5. Hey, Rob, can I buy
Yes.
some arrows?
Yes! Yes! In fact, that is one of the buildings that has been reconstructed.
Yay!
Oh.
Sweet.
Can I buy 15 arrows, please?
Yes,
A
you
lot.
may.
No,
I need a lot of fucking arrows.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely buy a number of arrows.
How much is it?
I now have to look that up. Because I can't remember. I think it's something like a gold for 5 or something like that, but I need to double check that. Equipment. Oh, sorry, 20 arrows for a gold.
Oh, awesome.
So
Let's buy that then.
yeah. Yeah, you can grab 20 arrows for a gold.
Sweet.
Does everyone have enough rations if we travel for 7 days?
Yeah,
I have 10.
Probably not.
I have 8.
I have 12.
What the fuck?
I
Why
have
do we
six.
always end up with
Okay,
different amounts
Let's
of
Who the
let's
fuck
let's
knows?
let's pull our rations together and like redistribute them as we do.
Right.
Yeah.
D&D math.
So,
I've
Right.
hold on.
I've got 6.
8.
Amazing.
10.
12. So
How? How does
6,
this
8, 10,
happen?
12. Beautiful.
how? Well, Vondal also keeps giving away his shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, they had no food. Fuck off.
I mean, I know, but like,
36.
9.
So
Literally get it
everyone
back.
gets 9 rations,
Okay.
which should be enough to get us there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Unless
if all
we
else
really
fails,
fuck up.
and
if all else fails, Vondal can create food.
Yep.
yeah,
You can also hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that too.
We can
Can make
hunt.
rabbit
I
curry.
can literally create food and water from nothing.
also
Rabbit
that.
curry.
Rabbit
Mhm.
curry.
Rabbit curry.
Well, we need rice with it.
Ah, good
The
thing I can
important
create
thing.
food and water. I'll create a load of rice.
Look, I mean, the rations, like trail rations, could definitely include rice.
Yes,
The
the trail rations almost certainly include rice.
because
Yeah.
it stays it stays good for a long time.
This is
Yes.
the most important thing to me.
The most important thing when you're making rations. Make sure it lasts a long time. Which means
Yes.
there's a lot of salty meat in there. Dry, salty meat.
And nuts.
Mhm.
And nuts.
Anyway, rations aside.
Yep.
Does anyone need anything else?
I don't think so.
I don't want to believe so.
If you tell me you don't need anything, then you don't need anything.
We say we don't need anything like 2 days into the trip. Like, shit, guys, we forgot something.
Oh god.
Here we go.
Well, I'm going to remind you of something.
What's that?
You have at least one real horse.
Mmm.
Oh, food for the horse.
Yes.
Do we need to buy food?
Well, where are you going to find it?
They can
Yeah,
just
horse
eat
and dogs.
grass.
I can't just eat the
Yeah, they could eat the grass if they were working on like their regular expenditure of energy, not carrying people and their belongings, therefore needing more energy rich food.
Yeah. Yeah, they could eat grass if we walked like 1 tile a day.
Look, let's just buy the food. And again, if all else fails, create food and water.
Yeah.
Yes, you don't need very much food, so
Yeah. 'Cause,
um,
create food and water is awesome.
it is literally 5 copper per day for feed for one animal.
Oh, well, that's like nothing.
The only disadvantage of it is it weighs 10 pounds.
Holy
Oh my
shit.
god.
Yay!
But you can
Horses
just put it
will
on.
take that.
You can just put it on the horse.
Yeah, the horse can carry its food.
Right, so we go for 7 days,
Yes.
and it's 5 copper. So
You also that's just to get to Simondel, not to the Druid Circle as well. So remember that you've got to also potentially get to the Druid Circle. But you can plan to get to Simondel and then work out from there.
yeah, who wants to buy the horse food?
I can.
Yeah, let Arya do it. Arya's got way
Iris
I've
is
got
money.
so much
so
fucking money.
rich.
How much money do you have?
I have 238 gold pieces
Jesus
Oh, shit.
Christ!
and 77 silver.
Gold for
Why do you keep
days.
77 silver? Why not just say you have 7 gold?
That's true. I should do that.
7 gold and
God's
7
sake.
silver.
No, 77 silver.
Right, now that episode of D&D Maths is done,
Hooray!
are you ready?
Or...
Yeah.
Wait, how much? Okay, so we're buying 7 days worth of food, so that's
So that's 35 copper, or
Right.
3 silver and 5 copper.
Okay.
Okay.
Done.
Okay. So
Should I get my broom back from Neve?
you
Oh
can.
yeah.
You could do.
Should I, or should I let her keep it?
It might be
It's up to you.
useful, the only thing, but yeah.
I love the broom, but I also love
Which one do you love more?
Neve.
I mean,
I mean, I'm
Neve
not sure
gonna
what
keep it?
use she's gonna get for it in Silverbrook.
I know.
I mean, you got to get bored every now and then, right?
Go on a flight.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, everything is raw excitement to a dryad in a city or in a town.
Yeah, we're just gonna get bored of it eventually.
Yes, I'm sure using a powerful magical artifact for its entertainment factor. Do you want it or not?
Use it.
Fine, I'll ask them back.
Yes. Well, she happily gives it to you because it is yours.
Instantaneous, like near instantaneous travel from the hole to the plants.
Look, we're doing like a little time skip because we don't want to roleplay out the whole day. We're just
Yes. Okay, you now have the broom back. It's now in your artifacts tab. Make sure to add it back into your inventory so you remember that you have it.
Yep. Done.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
then let us get underway. You may move your first 6 tiles.
Oh, shit,
Luka,
okay.
you're still in charge of moving the party token.
Okay.
This won't go badly at all.
1, 2.
I believe I think it was.
Bye,
Three.
Neve, I love
Oh yeah, you say your goodbyes and everything.
Bye, Lauren and Simone.
Bye, Lily. We'll see you someday.
Oh
Someday
shit,
in the
can
near
I
future.
can I backtrack a little bit?
Okay, what do you want?
I want to sort of talk to the Archdruid.
Okay.
Sort of, just sort of mention that one dream I had like months ago about Lily when I hadn't even met them yet.
Oh, what? Yeah, about them helping
Yeah,
your... Yeah.
and like in sort of a way that he sort of says like I can't really explain it, but I think it's sort of a good thing that that they are helping out
Yeah.
as much as they are now.
Yeah, Archdruid Buck sort of seems to agree and says, yes, Leyland is certainly very talented when it comes to the druid art. I can perhaps see why some of her teachers did not appreciate see why some of their teachers did not appreciate their talents. It has taken a lot of particularly focused nurturing to get them to sort of believe more in their abilities. But it is my hope that Leyland will be of assistance when it comes to curing your family. And should you get this information to the circle, I'm sure that it will expedite how quickly we are able to begin the healing process.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'm done backtracking.
Lily will remember that.
Yay.
Yes, okay. So, in your first 6 days of travelling, it is mostly uneventful. In fact, it is entirely uneventful.
Hooray!
So yeah, you mount up on your horses, travel the first day before setting up camp. I realise what we forgot to do in Silverbrook, but that's fine. I'll roll for it. Okay. Okay, nothing happens.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and you set up camp at the end of your day.
Oh shit. We have to decide who has the Rave Shard duty.
Yes. That was
Oh,
what I
yeah.
rolled for.
Oh yeah, of course we did.
Yeah.
Completely forgot about that.
I'll
We
take
all
it.
slept in the same room.
Yes, you all slept in the same room.
Wow, we are fucking morons.
Oh boy.
It's fine. Nothing happens.
We got so wrapped up in like
I'll
Yeah.
charge.
happy
So.
to be back.
Okay. Whoever it is, give me a save.
Boop.
Okay.
That's a nice save.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
God.
Hey.
Fucking
That's-
19, 20.
that's 25 plus 3, so... Oh, no, because you've already added the plus 3, haven't you? Or have you? No, you haven't. It's 25 plus 3.
No, I have the.
Oh, you have applied it automatically. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
that's-
That's great.
That's nice.
So anyway, Kelariis smashed that.
Yep.
wisdom save.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. Cool, next day.
Let's get back on the
Oh,
road.
Let's put a travel
road
track
again.
Roll it
on.
again.
Wait,
What?
your rations.
Oh yes, deduct
Oh, yeah.
rations and one for the horse.
Oh shit! The music's back, guys.
Music's back.
Shit.
Eternal
Ah,
wind.
So many happy memories. Remember that time I cleaved the owlbear's face in half?
I do.
Do you remember that time Grim tripped over and dropped his morning star?
Yep.
Do you remember that time we got
Yeah.
stuck in this grove up here and it was actually a fairy trap?
Yep.
Yep.
That's where we found the horn, and then Grim turned blonde all the time, and
Yeah.
Oh.
Guess where we're at again.
Do you remember when Arya fell
Yep.
in a hole?
no.
When
Yeah.
Arya fell in
Hey,
a hole.
are you falling down a hole? Was like at the northmost part of this map.
I know.
Yeah.
True.
Still a
but it
memory.
happened.
Still a memory of the
Still
hex crawl.
happened.
Yeah.
As you pass through the Fey-touched forest, nothing happens.
Well, thank God.
Yay.
Yeah, no. As you travel through this forest, that as you remember your experience with the strange dust in the air. As you travel, there are still strong traces of magic in the air, but the golden dust is long gone, and it's everything seems to sort of be almost like dormant or waiting, in a sense.
Ooh, that's not weird.
No.
Nope. That's not weird at all.
Well,
I'm not concerned.
give me a history check, Arya.
Okay.
Just Arya.
Just Arya, because
Well,
she is the only
I
person
live in
who's
the
ever been to
Feywild.
the Feywild.
That's true.
Okay. Yeah. You know that there are pockets in the world where, like, that Fey magic sort of like exists, and in the areas that it exists, even when the source of power is removed, it's still sort of like there's like a leftover like charge of magic that will exist for thousands of years, and that's part of the process of forming a dryad grove is very similar to that. Like dryad groves are very close to the Feywild in a sense, even though they have no direct connection.
Right.
But yeah, like residual Feywild magic is what causes dryad groves to exist. So yeah, this area is saturated with Feywild magic now.
One day
Or
there
it may
might be a
turn
grove.
out-
There
Yeah,
might be a
exactly.
grove, yeah. Especially if
Well,
somebody
that's
were
nice.
to do a ritual that anchored spirits there, but we won't go into that because it's a bit beyond you guys.
Why would someone anchor alcohol there, though? That's the real question.
Oh, that was a terrible joke. Permission to slap Cav.
Granted.
Roll me a
No.
stat crawl.
No! How do you do it?
Oh yes, I need that. Is that your 7 days? 6 tiles of
6?
movement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that your 7 days? No.
It's like, no.
Okay. As
Oh.
Oh,
Here we go.
here we go. Oh, that's not the music I was expecting.
no, as the evening begins to fall, you guys start to set up camp. So deduct your rations and things.
Yep.
And you're sort of beginning to set up the camp. Who's taking the shard?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Don't look at me wrong, Luka.
Arya is looking at you like.
And
Fight me IRL.
Vondal's looking at Arya.
Presumably, Arya, you're meditating as usual, like keeping an eye on things.
Yeah.
Okay. Just roll me saves as regular then. Okay.
Nice.
Arya, give me a perception check. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
As you are resting in the sort of like the shade of a tree, you hear
At night in the shade.
well, yeah.
Moonlight.
You can still be in the shade of a tree. Just means underneath a tree.
Don't get smart ass.
Anyway,
Too late.
as you are resting
No,
under
Luka
the
doesn't
tree,
know what a moon is.
Besides the fact that I'm literally a moon elf.
yes.
Yeah. The moon elf.
You basically you hear somewhere in the not too far distance the sounds of somebody moving around.
What the fuck?
Shit.
Right. Can I stealth to check it
Yeah.
out?
Give me a stealth check. Are you taking your friend with you?
Yeah.
Then they need to make a
Friend.
check as well.
Okay.
I love how Little also was probably
Oh,
part of
what the
fancy dollar.
fucking
Hooray!
This is bullshit. There's 95 reasons why.
said Arya Tallithsyr in a new book,
About how the church is bullshit.
which might have accidentally started the Ranger Reformation.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The Ranger Reformation.
That's in Zathanar's Guide to Everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's funny because it's getting reworked. Anyway.
ah.
Well, actually, as you stealth off into the forest, we will take a brief break.
As I like trip over a log and light the forest on fire.
You haven't even got any fire in your hands. You just managed to set the forest on fire by falling over.
I thought we put the fire arrows away after the troll.
Nope.
No, they were still
have-
here.
I have
Nope.
one burning.
Just
Took them with you
permanently
and they've been
in your
perpetually
pocket.
on fire forever.
No, it's video game inventory, man. That's how that
Yeah.
works.
Maybe
Yeah,
it's not actual
seriously.
fire. Maybe it's like sacred fire.
Maybe.
It's like in video games where you draw a Molotov cocktail and it's on fire, and then you just put it away
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, and then you're like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Right, we will take a short break.